Okay, I heard from a Republican YouTube channel today, which I'm not a Republican, I just listen to people on both sides of multiple issues who I don't agree with on either side, just to get an idea of how those people think, why they think the way they do, and see what's going on from their perspective and then piece everything together from there. And when I was looking at this one particular Republican guy's YouTube channel, just briefly today, and really it was my only one time looking at his channel, he was saying that tomorrow the Roe versus Wade ruling is supposed to be overturned, and that a lot of people are expecting riots in the street and violence over the government deciding to overturn the Roe v. Wade ruling. Now, here's one thing that probably almost nobody is looking at. Okay, now, Pastor John Paul Jackson, before he died from old age in 2015, and again, I'm not saying I fully agree with him either, because there's some basic things he didn't address, even though he was a cut above, you know. But in his 2008 through 2030 prophecy, he was saying that one of the top 5 reasons for the absolute worst of the disasters that America and other nations would see, with greater frequency and more intensity going into 2030, he said one of the top 5 reasons for that is the abortion issue. And he was saying that up until the point when he had released the 2008 prophecy, there had already been like more than 5 million abortions up to that point. And he was saying that America has to turn back to God in order to avoid seeing the worst parts of the intensifying disasters from 2008 going into 2030, in which what I've noticed and picked up on, it's a lot of times it's disasters that coincide with holy days or with national holidays, one or the other. But and so here's the thing, like he was saying that when a child gets aborted, the destiny that the child was supposed to have, he was saying God does not allow another person to take over and assume that child's destiny, and whatever that child was going to bring to the table, no one else is going to be in a position to bring exactly that in the same way to the table. And that's really kind of significant. It's really kind of significant because John Paul Jackson, he used to do a lot of outreach towards people in the white community who practice witchcraft, okay? And with people who do witchcraft, you have the lower level people who just mostly only do healing and blessing and stuff like that. But then you have higher level people where they want to do rituals to steal your fucking soul. They want to send demons to assault you, cut you up, or possess you or to give you fucked up, sick dreams while you're sleeping. Matter of fact, there's this guy who has a YouTube channel called Ty Jackson. And on the Ty Jackson channel, he talks about how when he was in witchcraft, he used to send people to, how he used to send demons to people in their sleep to give them nightmares or to give them sex dreams about another person so they'll become attracted to that other person sexually. He used to talk about how he did a lot of that stuff before he converted to white evangelical Christianity. And so with that said, Ty Jackson is exactly the type of person who Pastor John Paul Jackson used to do outreach on, but in the white community, okay? And it's for the people in witchcraft who he did outreach on, it's significant to add that another person is not allowed to have an aborted child's destiny, because darker, more deeper levels of witchcraft, that's what people do. They want to murder someone, or they want to do blood magic or sex rituals or whatever it is that they, or rape or whatever it is they do, because they're trying to form soul ties and steal parts of another person's soul, and to take on their energy, their destiny, or to kind of energetically cloak themselves when they're preying on other people. Okay, so for someone who's into those types of rituals, that would be a pretty big deal for them, where they say, oh wow, really, do you mean we can't murder babies and steal parts of their soul for the destiny? They'll be like, what? How can that be blocked? That's probably what a witch would be thinking. But a regular Christian, they'll probably hear that and say, oh, whatever, somebody else can do it. But either way it goes, and I've never been involved in doing those kinds of things to people, but from listening to people from different walks of life trying to piece things together, like trying to piece together why certain things are the way they are, that's how I found out. I've never actually done those things, no, but I have been targeted for those types of things multiple times, yes. So that's the other reason why I know about it, because some of that shit was directed at me. But anyway, moving on. So there's like spiritual implications from a Christian or Judaic perspective over the abortion issue. But also, even among Hindus, even Hindus will tell you, the gurus, they'll even tell you that for abortion, there's bad karmas tied to that. Especially if you're getting an abortion, like 2, 3, or more months into a pregnancy. And he's saying that they'll say the more developed a child is, the even worse the heavy karma is, and you have to live with that bad karma for the rest of your life. So that's from a Hindu perspective. Now, from a female perspective, I can understand how hurtful and extremely stressful it can be, where if you have a sex partner and he pulls the condom off in the middle of everything and slaps a baby on you because he wants to move another woman into the house who doesn't have a job and use your money to take care of her. And he's thinking, oh, okay, well, if you have a baby, I can do this to you. If you have a baby, I can treat you like shit and use your money to take care of this other bitch. And she'll be your master, and you have to jump when she says how high. That's how some of these Negroes think. And I know this because before I returned to Lancaster, Ohio, a man had attempted to force something like that on me. That's exactly what he did. He pulled the condom off, got me in the middle of everything, got me pregnant intentionally, and then he moved a chick into the house, even though he moved it like literally in probably like a day or 2 days after he did it. Like less than a week, he moved a lady into the house and was literally trying to set her up to be my master. And he would abuse me in front of her to make her feel special. Because again, that's a tradition in communities that tend to be highly polygamous or highly adulterous, one or the other. That is a very old tradition, with shitting on you, treating you like shit, and treating you like a slave to make another woman feel special. And this dude, I was roommates with him because I could not find a female roommate to save my fucking life during the lockdown. And when I became his roommate, he just took advantage of me so bad. You know, and it's like he was saying, you know, moving it. And so anyway, you know, I got away from him, and after I got away, I had a miscarriage, but that bad experience, and then leaving him and being shamed and beat down verbally and bullied by another black man after leaving that guy, it was just such an awful experience. And you know, fortunately I had medication that's used to prevent HIV. And before I left him, I was thinking, my God, you know, what would have happened to me if I didn't have this stuff? You know, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and I'm not saying that I've never, ever done anything that I shouldn't have done sexually at any point in my entire life. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that when I did not have a home of my own, and I just could not find a female roommate to save my fucking life, you know, I got exploited and treated like shit so bad. And it's like these dudes, it's like a lot of them, they just want to be your master, and sometimes that includes trying to put a baby on you intentionally. And there's a possibility that he could have been doing that to help people in local government to make money off of foster kids. You just never know. You know, because if he had already had a child taken away from him, then why would he go and put a baby on me intentionally, taking the condom off in the middle of everything, and put a baby on me intentionally when he already had a child taken from him? And that makes me wonder, like, if he was doing this to women to get a cut of some money from social services, I can only wonder. But moving on, from a female perspective, I can understand why some women would be extremely angry about the overturning of Roe versus Wade, because sometimes some men do want to throw a baby on you intentionally and immediately kick you out of the house after they do it. Some men do want you to give them your money. They want you to do physical labor on the home. They want you to work full time, even if it tears your body down to do so. They want you to do all of the home related responsibilities by yourself. And God forbid, if you have children, you're going to do most of that parenting by yourself too. While he don't have to do nothing but come home from work and relax and chase bitches. You know, this is the definition of a relationship that a lot of men have. Even if it's not marriage, that's what a relationship is to a lot of men. It's give me your money, give me your body, give me. You do all the housework. I ain't got to do nothing but come home and relax. You know, it's give me. And you know, and if a dude tries to put a baby on you to trap you, then you got to deal with the verbal abuse, the social stigma. You got to deal with people just abusing you to the point of doing permanent damage to your body while you're pregnant if you don't get an abortion. And I've experienced that too. You know, my stomach muscles are torn from my ribs almost down to my pelvis. If I eat a meal that's a little too big, like I get like 6 or 7 inches of my intestine that bulges out if I eat a meal that's a little too big and my stomach's not wrapped. And sometimes that hurts. You know, that's a workplace damage. That's damage from a job. That in some of my pelvic bone that's gone permanently, and you know, other issues I got going on. Those are damages from jobs. You know, and also damages from people abusing me so bad while I was pregnant and working. and even abusing me bad when I was pregnant and unable to work. Like almost, I can understand why a lot of women would be angry, because it's like if a dude decides to intentionally, not accidentally, but intentionally put a child on them, to trap them, or to put a child on them and just kick them out the house, or leave them immediately after, just for the spitefulness of doing it. That's like that's an open invitation to a life of scorn, a life of torture, a life of cruelty. And then after your body's permanently damaged from being abused on jobs and being forced into homelessness while pregnant, after you get permanent physical damages from that, then people, they take it a step further. Then they take your babies, and then they start allowing both races to rape them. And if they're little boys, it's gay rape. And I understand that too, because I went through that too. Where, like I didn't have my first child until after I turned 30. And my first child after turning 30, that was my first pregnancy that didn't end in miscarriage. When I was married, all I had during my marriage was miscarriages. So when I got my first baby at 30 years old, which was not planned for, but a situation where a Negro had done some trap type things, it was a blatant, obvious trap situation where I was drinking with a guy who I thought was my friend, and we were drinking brandy, and I was hanging out with him. And even though we were really drunk, I had asked this guy like 20 times to go get a condom. And literally, like, probably at least 10, 20 times I asked him to go get a condom. He was just refusing. And then, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying that, but in that situation, I just went ahead and went along with what he wanted. And that's how I got my first child at 30. But the really hurtful part is that after people hurt me and damage my body so bad with workplace injuries while I was pregnant, I'll never forget the older white couples and just white people in general who were staring at me like there was something wrong with me as I was leaving the hospital with my child. They had this look on their face like I had just done something insane and disgusting by leaving the hospital with one baby at 30 years old. And when I made it home from the hospital with my son, I sat there thinking to myself, have these white people lost their fucking minds? They vastly outnumber us. We're less than 12% of the population. They're constantly bringing Africans over, using Africans to replace entire neighborhoods, because there's just not that many of us compared to them. So they bring in all these foreigners to make it look like we're not gone. And I'm like, if you vastly outnumber my people, we're less than 12% of the population. You vastly outnumber us. You've brought in thousands or millions of African immigrants to replace us as we vanish. I'm like, how do you have the nerve to be looking at me? I'm college educated. I'm 30, or I was a lot younger then, but I was college educated. I was 30. I was working as a lab tech. I had my own home. And yet they were looking at me like I was crazy and like there was something wrong with me for having one child at 30 years old after divorce. And eventually, when my female doctor started abusing me, like literally abusing me and slamming doors in my face, even though I had never raised my voice to her. I never said anything nasty to her. I was just minding my own business. And this woman had even cut my clitoris off with a knife while I was giving birth to my son. I don't have a clitoris anymore. And after all that hardship that I endured, you know, when they took my son the first time, they sent him to an unemployed white girl who had no job and 5 or 6 kids. So that all that abuse I received at work, the abuse I received at the North Dakota All True Hospital, the genital mutilation that I received at North Dakota All True Hospital, the physical abuse and assault from my son's biological father, who put a baby on me intentionally and was trying to beat the shit out of me because I didn't get an abortion. He even told me, well, why can't y'all black bitches just get an abortion like the white girls? So he did what he did intentionally, and then told me why didn't I get an abortion like the white girls, and tried to beat the shit out of me. It was all that abuse from him, all that abuse from other people. It did so much work-related, permanent damage to my body. Pelvic bone that's permanently gone. Stomach muscles torn from my ribs down to my pelvis. And I know the truth is, if I know I'm not guaranteed to be safe if I go to a hospital to get my stomach closed up and to get my intestines sewed back in. You know, like, because I did not kill that child that was forced on me by that Negro, because they do that. They do it intentionally, but then they run around brainwashing other American black people into thinking we're the majority of the population, and we're not the majority of shit. We're not, never have been. And even in the riot situation, if riots do get bad tomorrow, that's only going to be because it's white people, because there's more of them. In the previous riots, that got bad only because white people joined in. There's not enough blacks to have a significant nationwide riot. If black people, you know, when black people were trying to do stuff like that against their better judgment, they had to get on airplanes and buses and travel to do it because it wasn't enough of them. And right there, common sense should have told them that if they have to get on airplanes and buses to go do shit like that, they ain't got no business doing it, because it's not that many of them. I already knew from the start that they were only making things worse and wasting their fucking time by doing that shit. You know, and it's like with adults. It's like with adults, no matter what race they are, they do not, 9 times out of 10, they do not want to hear nor accept anything that you have to say. If you're not in agreement with some ignorant shit or some wrong, incorrect shit that is deeply entrenched, deeply ingrained in their mind, 9 times out of 10, your words is going to go in one ear and right out the other if what you're saying does not perfectly fit some ignorant shit or some fully wrong, fully incorrect shit that has had a strong hold in that brain throughout their adult life. And just based on that reason alone, I knew the previous riots wasn't going to do nothing. It wasn't going to do nothing for the oppressed women and men who was being abused and disadvantaged. And I knew it wasn't going to benefit the white people who felt marginalized during the lockdown and started lashing out. I knew it wasn't going to be no benefit to that stuff. Now, inner work, inner individual transformation, you know, yeah, that can make a difference. But in the world of adults, most adults don't want a real, genuine, lasting change on the inside. They don't want that. You know, and I'm just noticing just the many, many massive, large-scale anomalies on holy days and national holidays, documented by NASA and documented by National Geographic Explorer and Harvard, all the anomalies and disasters and things on specific holy days and national holidays that were unprecedented and beyond the norm. But yet these very same people who might be out rioting and tearing shit up tomorrow, they don't even notice shit like that. And then you point it out to them, it's like half the time they don't fucking care. They don't fucking care. They're like, it's like the attitude is, I'm not even gonna get into that, but a lot of times they don't fucking care. And then the really bold ones, they'll still keep doing the same ugly shit and will not stop. It don't matter how many warning shots they see. It don't matter how many unprecedented, out of season, just unmatched disasters and anomalies on holy days and national holidays they see. Like, they just don't fucking care. They still keep doing the same shit where, like, if it's like the attitude is, if it's within my power to do something, I should do it. If something feels good, I should do it. It's like, if you can't stop me, then it's like the attitude is, if you cannot physically stop me right now in this exact moment, I will not stop. And it's like, that's the attitude. And, if people do go out, I'm saying that with my bad experiences that I've been through, I can understand the perspective of the women who might be angry. And the culture of sacrificing women and children for the benefit of men, that's a very ancient practice that goes back thousands of years in so many cultures. Especially like, even if you look at the polygamous cultures of Africa and also some of the polygamous Southwestern Native American cultures, if a child was born deformed, from the gene pool being narrowed, from their practices in the polygamous communities, the child would be left out to get eaten by wild animals. Or they would drown the child to death in water. This is how they maintain their lifestyle. At no point did the men say, hey, well, maybe we don't need to burn down our neighbor's village and take all their daughters so we can have multiple wives. They never said, maybe we don't need to do that. Maybe we could just, they never said, oh, maybe we could just leave our neighbor's daughters alone. Maybe we could just let them live their lives. Maybe we don't need 2 or 10 or 20 wives. Oh, no. They didn't do that. Instead, they did whatever they had to do to ensure they had multiple females. And if the child was born deformed, the child was getting drowned to death. That's still a lot of genetic bottleneck if all of the children have the same small number of fathers. And with that said, I just know that with the way a lot of people are thinking on both sides of a lot of different types of issues, no good will come of it. No good will come of that. And I'm not saying that out of a mentality of being a coon, a self-hating coon. No, I'm not saying it from that perspective. I'm just saying that divine retribution has already been here. It's been intensifying since 2008. That trend of, the disasters and the that are unmatched, unprecedented on holy days and national holidays, it has been happening more frequently and with increasing intensity as we head towards 2030, just like Pastor John Paul Jackson said before he died. And with that said, instead of the masses saying, oh, we need to work on self, no, instead, You got black men doing a lot of the same fucked up shit that they normally typically tend to do. And you got a lot of white people still doing a lot of the fucked up shit they tend to do. And it's like, no matter what race you look at on all sides of the equation, very, very, very few adults are saying, you know what? Maybe we need to stop and just work on ourselves and try to find more positive, productive things to do. Maybe we need to change the way we're going about doing shit. You know, like maybe more black people and also more white people need to say, you know what? Maybe we should stop protecting pedophiles just because these men and these women who are pedophiles are our race. Maybe we need to stop protecting them just because they have a job and we need the money. You know, like maybe for once they could say, hey, you know what? This is not Africa. This is not Europe. This is not Spain. Maybe we need to give more consideration to these Native women who get abused by their own people for being a full-blooded Indian and also very, very dark-skinned. And by dark, I mean much darker than myself because I'm copper-colored. You know, like maybe everybody, you know, at no point have the masses said, hey, you know what? This is not Europe. This is not Africa. A lot of these women who are full-blooded, unmixed Indians, they're very, very dark and getting abused badly by their own sisters and being called ugly and worthless just because they're dark and they're not half black. At no point has anybody said, hey, what can we do to make life less difficult for them? What can we do to stop allowing hoes to steal children from these women and torture them? What can we do to curtail that? What can we change about ourselves? Like, it's like, no. Like, and then people, you know, and it's like, and then with the media suppressing specific types of stories, and it's just like, on a lot of sides of a lot of different issues, it's like not enough people are saying, hey, well, what can I do to work on myself? What do I need to change about me? Like, we're not seeing enough of that. We're not. And like, you know, probability is really high that America's going to get brought to its knees in all the ways that John Paul Jackson was talking about, or worse.